What's up, good people? And welcome to Smiley G's Sports Nation. This be your boy Smiley G, the real Smiley G. And this is a beautiful, beautiful, lovely afternoon here on June 4th, 2024. Today we're going to get into a video entitled Caitlin Clark, the Savior versus the World. But before I get into this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be updated of all future videos. And if you're feeling generous and want to see the channel grow, please donate via Cash App at SmileyG2006212212. And please feel free to comment in the comment section because I do want all the smoke. But with that being said, let's get into this thing. Women's basketball, in a sense, has always been second fiddle to men's basketball. Whether it be women's college basketball or the Women's National Basketball Association, they will always get overlooked by the superior brand. For a very long while, women's basketball were not getting the attention they thought was warranted, whether it be for ratings, attendance, or pay. Women athletes, especially the WNBA players, have been complaining for years about not getting paid enough, despite their not making a profit in their league since the league was founded in 1997. But a certain superstar had emerged from out of thin air, and she would change the view of women's basketball forever. Her stardom would get the attention that women's basketball needed, but jealousy, emotions, and the race card would get in the way of her getting her due diligence and respect. Let me take you down the voyage of Caitlin Clark, the Savior versus the World. Caitlin Clark was born on January the 22nd, 2002. in Des Moines, Iowa, and grew up in West Des Moines. She started playing basketball at the tender age of 5 and competed in boys' recreational leagues because her father could not find a girls' league for her age group. Clark was multi-talented, playing in other sports like softball, volleyball, soccer, tennis, and golf. In the 6th grade, she played in the AAU program called the All-Iowa Attack in Ames, Iowa, playing there until she graduated from high school. Her coach there was Dixon Jensen, and she played alongside Ashley Jones, a WNBA player who had won a championship ring with the Las Vegas Aces. Maya Moore had inspired Clark, as Clark went to some of the Minnesota Lynx games with their father just to go see Maya Moore. She played for the Dowling Catholic Maroons in high school and was rated the 4th best player by ESPN in 2020. Then her magic would begin at the University of Iowa, where she would lead the NCAA Division I in scoring as a freshman. As a sophomore, she would lead Division I in both scoring and assists. In her junior year, she was voted the National Player of the Year and led her team to the national championship game against the LSU Tigers, who was led by Angel Reese. This is where Caitlin Clark's career would take a major turn, her being the babyface, aka hero, aka the protagonist.
Amazing.
Angel Reese was dubbed the heel, aka villain, aka the antagonist.
Ada.
This dramatic saga started with Caitlin Clark. During this season, especially during the NCAA tournament of 2023, Clark was taunting opponents with the John Cena "You can't see me" gesture. So when the Iowa Hawkeyes faced LSU In the national championship game of that same year, Angel Reese took it upon herself to return the favor as well as point at her ring finger because LSU had beaten Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes, winning the NCAA national title.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
Beta girl!
Sports media, especially the white media, were furious at Angel Reese for taunting them.
Great White Hope.
They needed their great white hope to complete the task and win it all for their legacy as the white race, because Caitlin Clark was supposed to be their savior. But Angel Reese gladly accepted her role as the villain.
Beta girl!
Because she felt she hadn't done anything that Caitlin Clark had already done the whole NCAA tournament.
What happened? There's a lot blown up on Twitter about Angel Reese following you around, pointing to her ring finger and taunting you.
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line.
Come on, Caitlin. Let's be honest here. You know you've been doing it the whole tournament. Now all of a sudden, when Angel Reese does it to you, and a reporter asks you what's that about and how you feel, you say, honestly, I didn't know that she was doing that. Come on, we know that you know that she was doing that to you. All I want to do is say is keep the same energy when it's on you. Do not change up when you're losing. This is what Angel Reese said the reason why she was taunting Caitlin Clark.
How long were you sitting on the...
Oh, I was waiting.
How long were you sitting
I
on the...
tell you, I was waiting. Me?
At what point were you waiting to pull out this?
Man.
Kind of the Caitlin Clark
Hey,
version?
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a
Incredible.
player for sure. But I don't take disrespect lightly. And she disrespected Alexis and my girls. South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. But y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
So the victor goes the spoils.
Beta!
But
The Great White Hope.
had some folks to defend her because, like I said before, them white folk didn't like when Angel Reese disrespected the Great White Hope. Here are tweets from two individuals who tried to defend Caitlin Clark for Angel Reese taunting her. The first tweet by Keith Oberman says, "What a fucking idiot." Then he tried to backtrack once he realized the hot water that he had put himself in. He says, "I apologize for being uninformed last night about the backstory on this. I don't follow hoops, college or pro, men or women. I had no idea about Clark. Both were wrong. This is what I said in today's Countdown podcast second segment about 24 minutes in. In sports, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are star women's college basketball players. In an Elite Eight game, Clark of Iowa scored 40 points and had a triple-double and made a wrestling gesture, meaning you can't see me, to her opponents. Last night, Reese and LSU beat Clark in Iowa for the national title, 102-85, and Reese made the same gesture to Clark and had another one to indicate she was getting the championship ring. Reese was named MVP of the tournament, and nobody will remember that, nor the LSU crowd. Just the fact that women's hoops has now achieved parity with the men. Its stars can be classless winners who are willing to overshadow their own team's victories." Did Shaq responded to the tweet and said, "Shut your dumb ass up. Leave Angel Reese alone." My opinion, it's just these white folks. They just so white privileged. that they don't even understand what they're doing in the moment. And I don't believe it for 1 second that he did not follow what was going on. He saw what Caitlin Clark was doing. He just was so in his white feelings that when Angel Reese disrespected,
The Great White Hope.
that he started foaming at the mouth with anger because these white folks want their great white hope. And they don't really like it when the great white hope is not at the top. They just don't like it. But let's get to this next tweet. This next tweet is from Dave Portnoy at Stu Presidente. And what he first tweet he said is, classless piece of shit. These folks hard on Angel Reese, man. They don't like that shit. The next tweet says, hashtag classless Angel Reese. Then the final tweet he said was, for all the dummies out there who don't understand why Angel Reese is hashtag classless, it's because she taunted Clark with 10 seconds left in the game. That was long over. Talking shit in the moment is one thing. Doing it when she did was hashtag classless. And that's why it's trending.
Stop the cap.
I call cap. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We all should be calling cap on this. We all know that this ain't got nothing to do with some last 10 seconds of the game. It was just the whole point of the great white hope was getting taunted. And it was getting beat and getting humiliated in embarrassing fashion. So these folks had to foam off at the mouth because they didn't like that their great white hope was getting taunted and beat like that. There was, a matter of fact, the game was a blowout and on top of the taunting. So they know it made them really bad. But this is what Stephen A. said about the situation. Now, normally, sometimes I don't agree with Stephen A. when it comes to issues like this, but I actually agree with him on this one. This is what he had to say.
The fact of the matter is, women's basketball has never been better than it is right now. It's never been better. And so the fact is, we can live in this moment and propel forward. You can do that, okay, without denigrating anything about the past, but just recognizing the fact that the women's sports, particularly women's basketball, has propelled itself to another level. The big thing for me is this, as it pertains specifically to this story. And again, no shade on Caitlin Clark, who's my favorite player, by the way. She's my favorite player in women's basketball. I just think she's spectacular, okay? But I love the fact that LSU went out and did what they did. And don't get me started with the coach, Kim Mulkey, because, again, we didn't like how she acted when it came to Brittany Griner. We didn't like some of the things that she said. But the reality of the situation is this woman is elite. This woman is on the same level as Gina Auriemma, as the late, great Pat Summitt, and others. She is absolutely spectacular. You can't take anything away from her. In her introductory press conference, she arrived at LSU and said, I see Final Four banners up there, but I don't see a national championship banner.
And she did that.
That's what I'm here for, and handled her business. So we got to remember that. But in the end, what it comes down to, Molly and Janae, is this. Caitlin Clark, again, no shade in her direction. But does anybody doubt that her behavior would have been very, very similar if she was the one winning instead of LSU? We've seen what she's done.
Absolutely.
She would have
kicked it
done
off. You
the
said that
same
earlier.
thing.
Yeah.
She would have done the same thing. So eat it. Accept it.
I agree with Stephen A. Smith 1,000%. The facts of the matter is, if Caitlin Clark would have been in the same predicament that Angel Reese was in during that time, I'm willing to bet you that Caitlin Clark would not have received any tweets saying that she's classless for taunting Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this was the race card that the white folks started first. Now, a little later on, we're going to get into some hating and where the black folks start to use the same card on Caitlin Clark. But to be fair, it's kind of warranted because the white folks played it first. And I'm not talking about all white folks. I'm not saying all white folks are racist. But in this particular incident, this was a racist thing, ladies and gentlemen. The Great White Hope was not achieving what they wanted. Angel Reese, she disrespected Caitlin Clark in their opinion, and they did not like it. So they called Angel Reese out publicly about it, being blind to the fact that they were going to receive backlash for it. And again, I don't think Caitlin Clark is racist. I think that she really didn't mind Angel Reese taunting her. She know that comes with the territory. She know it comes with the game. And it's not her fault that her due diligence and respect was taken because of some white folks pulling the race card and basically using their white privilege and blindness to not knowing what's going on. But let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. I want to play one more clip that pertains to the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark encounter of the 2023 NCAA championship game. And whereas more proof, in my opinion, that it was racially motivated and that a lot of white folks were playing the race card. Let's get into it.
This is Joe Biden, of course, is the First Lady of the United States yesterday.
So I know we'll have the champions come to the White House. We always do. So, you know, we'll have LSU come. But you know what? I'm going to tell Joe, I think Iowa should come too because they played such a good game. So, right? So winners and losers, that's sportsmanship.
Okay, now look, this administration has kind of done that before, right? If you go back and you watch when Howard lost in the NCAA tournament, the vice president went into Howard's locker room and was talking about how proud you represented everybody and how incredible you like. They got beat by 30. Those are young men, prideful young men. They're not 7-year-old soccer team. And the same thing is true for Iowa's women. Truly not true for Iowa's women. Like, they know the deal. Caitlin Clark understands the deal. You win, the victors go the spoils. Now, if I were to tell you that, and obviously if you followed on social media, Angel Reese, who's the MOP, that's the most outstanding player, called it a joke, right? And it's been made out to be exactly what it feels like, which is, oh my God, good sportsmanship is bringing the losing team, right? So is San Diego State going to go with UConn to the White House? Like, what are we doing now? What's the purpose of winning unless you get some of the benefits, some of the rewards from it? But if you change your perspective and you think of it this way, and again, Joe Biden didn't look at it that way. But if you said, hey, that's the highest rated women's college basketball game ever, it has a chance to be Bird versus Magic. Now, it's obvious that, anyone can say Bird versus Magic was white versus black, right? And you have that with Reese and Caitlin Clark. They didn't match up against each other per se. And obviously, a lot of the discussion was over the taunting that clearly occurred. And you can tell me it's trash talking. That's taunting what occurred. Whether you like it or don't like it, or you accept it, you don't accept it, that's fine. That's what you think. I don't know of any coach I've ever played for or met that would say, hey, that's how we want to behave when we win a national championship.
Amazing.
That's one way of looking at it. Or it could be the way that I think it is. I just think that Jill Biden, again, when majority of these white folks was going with it, Caitlin Clark was
The Great White Hope.
and they still wanted to appreciate her despite her losing because they want to make their great white hope feel good. And Angel Reese, by taunting Caitlin Clark, they wanted her to not feel any type of appreciation because they didn't like her taunting Caitlin Clark, their great white hope. But the next year, Caitlin Clark's senior year, will be her record-breaking year, becoming the all-time leading scorer in NCAA Division I in both men and women's basketball. All of Iowa's home games were sold out, and all but 2 of Iowa's road games that year were also sold out. She would even get her revenge against Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers, beating them in the Elite 8 round of the NCAA Division I tournament. Angel Reese will foul out of the game in the third quarter, and she will have to sit on the sideline as she watched as her team will lose 94-87. Caitlin Clark will eventually lead her team to the NCAA championship game, where she will face Camila Cardoso and the South Carolina Gamecocks. For the second straight year, she will fall short, losing 87-75. Sports media were publicly indicating all of Caitlin Clark's accomplishments and other things that would trigger other women basketball players and former women basketball players. They were jealous that Caitlin Clark was getting all the attention that no woman basketball player had before her. Caitlin Clark had signed a deal with Nike worth $28 million for 8 years.
Amazing.
She also had her own signature shoe. This sparked more jealousy and hate for Clark. Players like Lexi Brown, Cheryl Swoops, and reporter Jemele Hill were all seen saying some controversial things about Clark. And even if it was true or not, and I can assure you that some of the stuff that they were saying was not true, we can't argue that Caitlin alone has brought some attention to women's basketball. Here are some of the things that Caitlin and the Caitlin effect, as the media has dubbed it, has done.
The Dallas Cowboys might be the kings of football fandom, but even they can't hold a candle to the sensation that is Caitlin Clark. According to the New York Daily News, on her draft day, the Indiana Fever's top pick outsold every Cowboys player combined in jersey sales for the entire previous season. Wrap your head around that. One rookie outselling an entire powerhouse team. And it's not just about beating the Cowboys. Clark's star power is off the charts. Before even stepping onto a pro court, she's already breaking records left and right. Remember when Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott led the jersey sales for the Cowboys last year? Well, Clark trumped them all, single-handedly. It's mind-blowing. But her impact isn't just in jersey sales. She's a bona fide basketball phenomenon. Her college career was like something out of a movie, breaking viewership records with each game she played. The national championship game against South Carolina, nearly 19 million viewers. That's more than the men's game drew that year. And get this, she's already changing the game in the WNBA. The Fever are practically becoming a TV staple with the number of national games they're getting this season. Plus, opposing teams are moving games to bigger arenas just to accommodate more fans eager to see Clark in action. Selling more jerseys than the NFL's top team, that's not just a sign of star power, that's a declaration of dominance. So, what's next for Caitlin Clark? Will she take women's basketball to heights we've never imagined? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
That was audio from a YouTube channel called All Star Sports. Now, all that you heard is actually remarkable because, first of all, football, especially the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, is the best team in the world. the most expensive team in the world. And NFL is the number one sport in the world. So, if Caitlin Clark is out selling jerseys between NFL players, you're not going to tell me that she is not the reason the WNBA and women's basketball has started to flourish. But let's see what Angel Reese had to say. Maybe she can change your mind.
I think so many people are watching women's basketball right now. It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that. Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game, and Kennedy has been here before, obviously, but there are so many great players in this league that have deserved this for a really, really long time, and luckily, it's coming now.
Now, it may be some truth to what Angel Reese is saying, but just keep it real. And if y'all haven't noticed yet, I'm a man of accountability. And I keep it real when it needs to be kept real. Yeah, it's true that you are part of the biggest championship game in 2023. But let's just be honest. Are you really equal with Caitlin Clark? Let's look at some stats and charts I got for you. First chart we have here is the 2023 WNBA season attendance chart. This is how it looked last year, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's look at this year's charts. Now, Caitlin Clark was drafted the number one overall pick by the Indiana Fever in the 2024 WNBA draft. As you can see, the Indiana Fever is by far the most watched, most attended team in the WNBA. You still not convinced? Well, let's look at something else. These are the attendance of WNBA games this past week with Caitlin Clark in the games and without Caitlin Clark in the games. I think it's safe to say, ladies and gentlemen, that Caitlin Clark is the reason why the ratings are going up. And I think it's also safe to say
I'm the one selling the records. They coming to see me.
They coming to see the Temptations.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Yes. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Angel. But to keep it real, they come to see Caitlin and Angel together. But if it had to go with just Caitlin by herself and Angel by herself, ain't nobody coming to see you, Angel. And that's just big facts. And because of Caitlin Clark's success and the media hyping it up like it's the Caitlin effect, these women in the WNBA are not liking it. And that even included her teammate. Because you ain't going to get me believe that these folks being hard on your player or your teammate and you don't do nothing to run at those players and nothing. You just sit them and let them do it, and all you try to do is say, come on, girl, let's get up. You ain't going to try to fight back at these players. If they really respected her, they would have fight for her. But they're not doing that. But let me get into some of these clips of what I'm talking about.
Mabry doubled off to Carter. Her jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 and Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy called.
Nagumake drives baseline and shot rejected by Izzy McMagor. Second opportunity is up and in by Nalissa Smith. And all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long. 44-2.
But can also see that being a no call. Good no call? 50-50?
50-50.
In closing, you can see by these clips that the WNBA does not respect their savior. And I call Caitlin Clark their savior because without Caitlin Clark, in a few more years, the WNBA will probably be out of business. And I see why certain people will be jealous of her. Whether it be the media boosting her up, calling her, saying things like the Caitlin effect, or maybe people like Kevin Olderman and Dave Portnoy making racist slurs and making racist comments, blindly not understanding or being aware of what they're saying. And I understand that people will be jealous of her because she's the first women's basketball player to get this much attention. But if you want to survive, you have to learn how to accept, no matter how you feel, you have to accept what is beneficial and profitable to you. Like I said before, people like Kevin Olderman and Dave Portnoy, or even the First Lady Jill Biden, saying things that would make people hate her so she can't get her due diligence and respect. But we still have to accept the fact that she is changing women's basketball for the better. And you have people like Cheryl Swoops, Lexi Brown, and Jamel Hill throwing the race card out there, complaining and talking about that black people never get the same opportunity like white people. And the reason why Caitlin Clark is doing what she's doing is because she's white. And she's been given all this attention and been sponsored because she's white. And though that might be partially true, I still think the majority of it is because she's just been the most entertaining woman of all time. I mean, you can't deny that. She's the most entertaining woman of all time. She has a bag and a skill set almost like Steph Curry. Not quite like Steph Curry, but for a woman, you would call her the Steph Curry of women basketball. And these women don't like it. They bring up the race card, but you can't bring up the race card if you don't look at it. For the longest, the NBA has been majority black dominated. What about Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Kevin Durant, Magic Johnson, etc.? These are black people. So you can't use the black card just because you don't like somebody or are jealous of somebody. But Caitlin Clark is doing what she's doing to not only save this league, but to raise it to new heights. And this situation is reminding me of the same situation when it came to Jesus and the Jews. How the Jews asked for the Most High to send a Messiah to save them from the crucifixion and the persecution they were going through between all the people, whether it be the Babylonians or the Grecians or the Romans. But when they get the Savior and the Messiah, they did not even realize who he was and refused him and rejected him because they were jealous of him. This is the same thing would come to Caitlin Clark, ladies and gentlemen. Caitlin Clark is a woman who is saving the WNBA and has the power to save the WNBA, but her own received her not. And this is why I stated that this is Caitlin Clark, the savior versus the world. Please like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, and please comment, because I do want all the smoke. And with that being said, peace and blessings to you, brothers and sisters. I'm out.